After one of the most divisive voices in hip-hop, tensions are at an all-time high and social media is exploding. Nobody was prepared for the shocking revelation that hop gossip Tasha K made. In a late-night live broadcast full of fiery conviction and ominous threats, Tasha asserted that she had evidence that Mendeecees' widely reported DNA test was manipulated. That's right, the same test that supposedly disproved Mena's sensational allegation of having a secret child. The whole situation is now in disarray as a result of Tasha's receipts, which call into question what fans believed to be true. Was Erica telling the truth, or was she being silenced by a well-planned plot that even VH1 ignored? The murmur began as internet chatter. However, supporters are seeking answers when Tasha's alleged evidence started making the rounds in locked forums and private direct messages. Behind the scenes, Mendeecees is reportedly incensed. According to reports, Yandy is in damage control mode. Additionally, according to insiders, VH1 executives are rushing to manage the PR repercussions before they destroy the franchise. One thing is certain, though. This isn't finished as the distinction between manipulation and truth becomes more hazy. If even half of what Tasha is stating is accurate, the baby bombshell that Erica just became alarmingly real after being dismissed. The entire cast is suddenly tense. For weeks, Mendeecees had remained mute, ignoring the rumors that had begun to gather steam like a gradual storm. Fans have been divided ever since Mena made her impassioned claim about a secret baby and insisted on a DNA test. Others felt something more profound, something genuine, while others thought Erica was just trying to get attention. The internet erupted in derisive memes and charges against Erica for creating drama when the DNA test results were negative. Tasha K, however, did what she always does. She agitated the pot. But she didn't this time. Empty. Tasha suggested in a mysterious teaser video that the DNA test that was widely publicized could not be what it looked like. Neighborhood was rocked by the tone of her voice, even if she didn't mention names or provide all the facts. She talked of lab irregularities, money being transferred, and someone in a high position at VH1 pulling strings to end this before the reunion was taped. Up until the receipts started to come to light, it sounded like wild guesswork. A lab technician claimed in an anonymous email that was leaked to Tasha's inbox that he was under pressure to match results to a preset outcome. The email sounded hurried and was full of mistakes and incomplete phrases. Something was written by the tech, felt strange, and that he was instructed not to inquire. One line caught my attention in the screenshot of internal messages that is included, verified the negative. They've already paid for it. The fans were taken aback. All of a sudden, everything started to change. After the criticism over the test results, Erica went silent. But she made a comeback to social media with a single story post that included a black screen with white writing that said, "You were all so quick to clown me." There were no tags or captions, just a painful reminder of how quickly the internet can turn against a woman they used to support. Soon after, fan pages started digging once more, sharing previous show video in which Yand shifted uneasily. Mendeecees appeared anxious, and the atmosphere no longer felt casual. The men's team shut down right away. No interviews, no remarks. Oddly quiet, even his generally talkative cousins and entourage fell hushed. Before storming out with his cap pulled low, one fan said they heard him talking angrily on the phone at a restaurant in Atlanta, saying, "I told you this would come back." The story merely fueled the flames, regardless of whether it was fictional or true. However, Yandy could not afford to remain silent. The next night, she appeared unconcerned, as she sipped tea and talked about positive energy and self-care on Instagram Live. But watchers saw that her tone was defensive. What she said calculating? A direct question in the comments was, "Did you fake the DNA test?" Yandy's countenance fell for a moment before she laughed and remarked, "Y'all believe anything?" However, that moment of hesitation wasn't ignored. When Tasha K made her comeback the following morning, it was with a 10-minute video called "The Truth Y'all Aren't Ready For." She aired the purported audio of two VH1 production assistants talking about the reunion episode over the phone. One voice in it stated, "We must prevent Erica from taking over the story because it will harm Mendeecees' reputation." Whether contrived or real, the audio struck a chord. "We already got the test handled, so it's handled." The second speaker responded. The background noise, the voices, and the time all seemed too particular to ignore on Twitter. Supporters started requesting clarification. Trending hashtags were #Justice for Erica and number DNA fraud. There were many mentions about Tasha, while some accused her of creating drama for views. Others applauded her for revealing the truth. However, Erica's 3-word repost of the video was the biggest surprise. "I gave it a shot." The woman appeared, suddenly desperate and insane. Reputable males DC had yet to speak. According to insiders, he was meeting with legal counsel to determine whether to file a defamation lawsuit or to remain silent and let the situation play out. According to one of the show's producers, Mendeecees is furious because the agreement was to keep this a secret. A whole new round of speculation was triggered by the word deal. What's the matter? Who is it with? How far down did it go? Backstage, those who had previously rolled their eyes at Erica's outburst were now apologizing. In whispers, Bambi and Rashida were reportedly removing themselves from the situation, as were other members of the ensemble. According to one insider, Rashida told a producer, "I don't want my name anywhere near this fake baby mess." However, she was upset about being kept in the dark behind closed doors. On set, loyalty had broken down. The energy in Erica had also changed. She had stopped weeping. She was not pleading for faith. She was bright, calculating, and frighteningly composed. Finn was brief. She continued, "I told y'all what happened. Knew I wasn't crazy. I knew I wasn't lying. I just hoped I'd give up." Fans flooded the comments with apologies, emojis, and encouragement. Someone even wrote, "We owe Erica a complete season. We stand by the integrity of our production process." But they didn't mention the DNA test directly, and that's silence. VH1 said in a hazy statement made in the meanwhile. It simply exacerbated the situation. It seemed like the network accused him of being manipulative, corrupt, and willing to gaslight a woman for views. The whole situation swung from television drama to real-life scandal, and Day's reputation, which had been partially restored after his release from prison and the stability of his marriage, was now hanging by a thread as people started bringing up old accusations, past behavior. And that notorious moment when he told Yandi, "You held me down, but not how I wanted," fans weren't having any of it. Everything began to resemble a pattern. One where women took the fall while he kept his hands clean. More people began coming forward with stories. According to one anonymous source, Erica attempted to do a private DNA test months before filming, but the results were mysteriously lost. Another said that Erica wasn't even supposed to be in the original season lineup. But producers brought her in at the last minute because they knew she would bring fireworks. Fans now question whether she was set up from the beginning. The story had completely changed from being shamed and dismissed to being seen as the only one telling the truth. Tasha K was loving every second. In her most recent post, she hinted at even more receipts. "Do you want the uncut version or not?" She captioned it, "If the test was rigged, what else was? How could producers influence something so serious? What kind of show were we watching? Is anything real anymore? Or was it all carefully planned chaos masquerading as reality?" The comments section exploded, but the true question on everyone's mind went deeper than the DNA. And how far would the cast go to preserve their image if the lines were this blurred? As fans were still processing the shock of Tasha K's leaked audio and Erica's quiet comeback, new layers started to emerge, revealing that this was never just about a DNA test, but rather about control, power, and reputation. Tensions were boiling over behind the cameras in the production vans and dressing rooms, with men who are normally composed in front of the media reportedly losing it behind the scenes. According to a VH1 staffer, he walked off set during a promotional shoot, muttering to himself, "They promised this would be done." Although no one was certain of their identity, the insinuation was strong. Yandy's energy had also changed. In a sponsored hair care video, she appeared visibly stressed and unusually quiet, skipping the usual upbeat tone, and the comments section noticed. One internal memo, allegedly leaked by a disgruntled assistant editor, warned staff to avoid DNA-elated language in upcoming episodes and to limit screen time of Erica unless absolutely necessary. This only added gasoline to the fire, because if there was nothing to hide, why hide her? The network's silence and the abrupt reversal from production told fans has been sleeping for days. Another said, "It's funny how calm she was when Erica was being pulled, but she's exhausted now that the truth is coming to light." Those who had previously supported Yandy started to wonder what she knew, whether she co-signed the phony results, and whether she had contributed to Erica's silence. And what nobody had anticipated was the unexpected return of Samantha Mendeecees' ex-girlfriend, who is also the mother of one of his children, who posted a mysterious message on 2 Instagram stories. "You can only hide for so long." The internet went crazy. Was she referring to the DNA drama? Was she hinting that there were more lies hidden beneath the surface? Reporters and bloggers started contacting her for interviews. But she didn't say anything after the post, but the damage was done. Tasha K, meanwhile, wasn't stopping. In her next video, she claimed that 2 cast members whose names were bleeped out for legal reasons had contacted her directly. And one of them told her they tried to get me to say Erica was lying on camera, but I refused. She didn't play the entire message, but she did include snippets that suggested a toxic backstage environment, where storylines were controlled and people were forced to play roles that weren't true to reality. The storyline was no longer about whether the DNA test was fake, but rather how far the show's machine would go to protect some reputations while sacrificing others. And fans began gathering their own evidence in lengthy Twitter threads that linked old episodes, behind-the-scenes interviews, and suspicious editing cuts that now looked sinister. One thread noted that Mendeecees was given long, stoic pauses that made him appear grounded, while Erica's emotional outbursts were always punctuated by dramatic music. Then, as no one had anticipated, Mendeecees finally shared a black and white picture of himself in a suit, gazing down with the words, "Truth always wins." There was no video or caption. Some interpreted it as a denial, while others believed he was implying he had nothing to conceal. However, the majority of people simply demanded answers. One person wrote, "Say it with your chest," while another asked, "If you didn't rig the test, why not share the actual lab paperwork?" People's suspicions were only increased by the quiet. Ever the strategist, Erica took advantage of the opportunity to go live. But instead of crying or getting angry, she shook her head and read over the comments before saying, "They really thought I was going to roll over and cry forever." Fans started demanding that VH1 release the full unedited footage of the DNA test segment around this time. And a petition demanding transparency went viral online. Bloggers and small outlets picked it up, and within days it had amassed over 25,000 signatures. She didn't specifically name anyone, but the tone was clear. She hinted that more was coming, that she had her own receipts, and that some people were too busy being fake righteous to admit they messed up. Other cast members began to take sides as the chaos intensified. And Bambi shared a picture of herself with Erica with the caption, "Real recognizes real." Rumors began to circulate that the network was considering a bonus episode or a special investigation segment to address the controversy, but insiders claimed Mendeecees was adamantly against it. The cast was splitting up as Young Jock posted a video about individuals needing to accept responsibility, but he never identified the person he was referring to. Fans debated in the comments, analyzing every word and emoji to attempt to determine who was backing whom, and the public could see it. A makeup artist reportedly told a blogger that there were strange vibes the day the DNA segment was taped, saying that everyone was nervous, there was extra security, and one of the producers was pacing nonstop. Another insider said that a security guard had to stand between Erica and another cast member during a confessional shoot because things got too real. Whatever happened, it was evident that the fake reality had finally met the real consequences. Tasha K revealed another twist in a midnight video titled, "They Paid for Silence." At the time, she believed it was just another high-stress taping, but now she feels like they were hiding something. She also claimed that Yandunde and Mendeecees arrived late and avoided small talk with crew members, which was completely out of character. Fans thought the timing was too good to be true, so she read aloud from what she said was a partial contract between a cast member and the network that mentioned clauses. The contract allegedly stated that participants agreed not to disclose internal agreements or results that may disrupt show continuity, though she redacted names. This raised even more questions. Was the DNA test ever real? Was it scripted from the beginning with prearranged conclusions to serve a storyline? Were Erica's tears real, or were they a reaction to being stuck in a narrative she couldn't escape? The line between truth and fiction was blurred. Viewers felt deceived. This was no longer just television. This was manipulation of people's real lives, reputations, and pain. If it was real, it meant that the DNA test outcome could have been covered by legal agreements before filming even began. The once loyal audience that tuned in every week now felt used, but Erica remained surprisingly calm throughout it all. In her most recent post, she shared a quote that read, "Sometimes you have to let people destroy themselves with their own lies." VH1 remained silent throughout this entire situation, no follow-ups, interviews, or public clarification. Silence grew louder by the day. Some fans threatened to boycott the network, while others deluged comment sections of official posts with inquiries, demands, and outright rage. A final reminder that she was no longer playing the victim. It was a subtle clapback. What was she waiting for? The expression in her eyes spoke for itself, even though no one knew. Now that the storm had arrived, the destruction was only getting started. The story had changed more than anyone could have predicted by the time the weekend arrived. Drama and love were no longer the only things involved. This was a full-fledged controversy that revealed the extent to which reality TV will go in order to safeguard its selected personalities. And there was one indisputable question at the heart of it all. What else had been altered for the cameras if Mendeecees' DNA test was a fake? Erica's peaceful self-assurance had transformed into a force nobody had anticipated. She was no longer pleading to be taken seriously. She was letting the truth do the talking while she watched the mayhem play out. Her Instagram stories turned into a string of coded messages, a close-up of someone signing an NDA, a snapshot of the word puppeteer, and even a blurry still of what appeared to be a clipboard used by a producer. Although she never mentioned names or added text, her followers analyzed every post as if it were gospel, and the message was always obvious. She had had enough of silence. Tasha K, meanwhile, wasn't slowing down. She asserted in another scathing video that she had access to a second audio recording that would purportedly validate the Mendeecees lab. Even the test's certification for authorized DNA testing was lacking. She clarified that entertainment networks occasionally engage outside firms to expedite outcomes, particularly when they require a speedy conclusion before taping wraps. Her audience listened intently as she stated, "This isn't even about paternity anymore, y'all. This is about fraud, legal fraud, corporate fraud, and emotional fraud." The voice of a purported former employee claiming, "We were told this was for TV, not real," struck a chord despite the brief, grainy, and partially deleted film, she teased. The admirer of the base erupted in anger. People started demanding an independent probe and tagging lawyers. Even viewers who had previously supported Erica began to have doubts about everything. The notion that this was all for amusement now felt less innocent. It was inhumane. A dot. Even though Yan Dawai made an effort to maintain her composure, she was now being watched in a different way. In an attempt to determine when she could have realized the test was fraudulent, fans started playing back past interviews, episodes, and even reunion footage. She awkwardly sidestepped a direct inquiry about the lab in one of the resurrected clips. At that point, her answer seems vague. It seems to be calculated now. Was Yandi always the villain? And why do women protect the wrong men? Was among the think pieces that influencers began publishing. Her reputation, which had always been based on loyalty and strength, was now eroding due to uncertainty. Tensions were rising backstage. Insiders claim that because of unsolved concerns and several cast members' refusal to appear until the DNA matter was settled, reunion filming had been postponed twice. There were rumors that Erica threatened to leave the set in the middle of filming unless the production issued a public apology. According to reports, producers were thinking about hiring a crisis mediator to handle the aftermath. This isn't even about the show anymore. One crew member allegedly stated, or this is about keeping it from turning into a legal mess. Fans started asking questions like whether the test was a hoax, whether there was ever a chance the baby was his, whether he had lied to protect his reputation, and even worse, whether he had voluntarily humiliated Erica on national television. While knowing the truth, Mendeecees was nowhere to be found, and even his regular gym videos and brand promotions had ceased. Those close to him said he was avoiding public appearances until he could regain control of the narrative. But that narrative was unraveling more quickly than anyone could have anticipated. When a former VH1 assistant producer with a burner Twitter account stated, "We were told to break Erica down," it was a startling turn of events. Ratings were what they sought. They were indifferent. Within an hour, the tweet was removed, but not before screenshots went viral. Public indignation increased as a result of news outlets covering it. Even the most cynical reality fans were appalled by the notion that a woman's breakdown was planned for the sake of views. A TV fan shared a side-by-side comparison of Mendeecees and Erica sobbing on the set. It went viral, showing him leaving quietly with the message, "This is what emotional manipulation looks like." The internet had stopped laughing. They were upset. The number of petitions doubled. The cacophony of hashtags grew louder. Even famous people started to leave comments. Call it entertainment if you want. Tits, trauma. A female rapper wrote, "What y'all did to Erica is what they've been doing to women for decades." VH1 issued a second, somewhat less ambiguous statement as the pressure increased. They admitted viewers voiced complaints, and they responded by saying they were doing an internal assessment to make sure the material was fair and accurate. This was insufficient. Instead of sterile business jargon, people sought answers, demands. Two #released the raw video inundated the network's social media pages. In the middle of all of this, Erica shared a picture of herself carrying what appeared to be a sealed manila envelope with the words, "Original copy of test results" written on it. No context, no caption. However, the ramifications were enormous. There was a frenzy in the comment area. Was this the actual test? Was this evidence that had the television version been phony? Were the documents always with her? Why wait until now? If so, speculation gave way to rage. Now, viewers believed the show had planned Erica's humiliation, built a story around a falsehood, and made money off of her suffering. Boycotts of the network's advertisers as well as the show itself started to be demanded. Even devoted supporters expressed their frustration. It was a personal betrayal, There was more to this than a convoluted plot. It was about manipulation, ethics, and a total lack of respect for a woman's reality. After first attempting to remain silent, Bambi ultimately spoke up. She didn't go into great detail, but her voice was raw with emotion as she stated, "I stayed. Quiet out of respect, but what they did to Erica wasn't right. I saw things, I heard things, and it's been eating me up." Her remarks were a breaking point as she continued. Reality TV isn't always reality, and sometimes people get hurt for the sake of a storyline. Her tears welled up. In an attempt to get other cast members to speak out or be complicit, fans began tagging them. Little voices began to rise, one by one. An on-set hairstylist claimed to have witnessed production cutout sequences in which Erica spoke up for herself. According to a background assistant, security had been instructed to keep a tight eye on Erica, but not Mendeecees. It presented an unsettling image in which the show set up a trap for her and then broadcast her collapse. The controversy was permeating popular culture even outside of the show. The subject was now being covered by YouTube comment sections, gossip pages, and even podcasts that typically stayed away from reality TV. Some presented it as a gaslighting lesson. Others viewed it as an example of how the media entertains by playing with the emotions of Latina and Black women. In any case, the topic of discussion had changed. There was no longer any laughter. All that was left were indignation, interest, and a growing call for justice. Erica remained motionless throughout it all. There were no angry posts, shouts, or outbursts, just silent actions that were more powerful than words. The envelope she was holding now represented more than simply the DNA test, but of all the women who had ever been disregarded, silenced, and mocked. Admirers, we waited. The media was observing. A cornered BH1. Mendeecees sat motionless somewhere in the shadows, aware that the storm he had attempted to conceal was now. At his front door, Mendeecees' quiet was beginning to sound more like capitulation than strategy. The weight of the reality only increased with each day that went by without a declaration, a denial, or even a hazy clapback. No longer were fans only asking questions. They were responding to them on their own. And the majority of those responses suggested one. In conclusion, the test for DNA was never actual. Mendeecees was aware of it from the beginning. A cultural reckoning had emerged from what had started as a rumor. It's the same program that had made its name on clumsy altercations. Emotional outbursts and dramatic makeup was now being criticized for everything it stood for. How Leo suppressed the truth. When it interfered with the plot, how it forced women into corners for views, and how it presented suffering as entertainment. Erica Mena, who was no longer the loud one, was in the center of that tempest. Viewers of controversial firecrackers believed they knew, but a woman had been deceived by a device meant to make her look bad. She mailed the envelope with the original copy of the test results without a caption. It caused waves of conjecture. It was her last warning shot before releasing everything, according to some. Those closest to production knew better than others, who believed it was a ploy to get a response. According to one insider, she had already forwarded copies of the materials to 2 prominent media outlets and legal counsel. That same insider claims that Erica had a signed request form from a VH1 producer requesting that the lab deliver an appropriate result for broadcast continuity. In addition to a different set of results, that form wouldn't simply sync the show if it were real. The network as a whole would catch fire. Never one to remain silent. Tasha K acknowledged seeing the document. She detailed everything in agonizing detail, but refused to show it, saying that legal threats were already being received. She described in her subsequent stream how the paper trail eventually led to a shale business that employed contract labs without a formal link to VH1. The elements made sense, even though she presented it like a conspiracy thriller. And her last remark was what most frightened the audience. Despite knowing that this would destroy Erica, they went ahead and did it. More than her truth, they needed her collapse. 2 days later, Yandi finally responded, and many fans were eagerly awaiting it. She addressed the topic for the first time without dismissing it in a live video that lasted almost 9 minutes. She appeared worn out and unrefined, as if the burden of everything had finally descended upon her. "We will not back any platform that diminishes women's rights because we take them seriously." Erica kept her celebrations private. No triumphant dancing. Posts, "I told you so." She went live for 5 silent minutes instead. It's just her face and voice, without any music, makeup, or theatrical effects. "I want to thank all of you who got up," she continued. "To everyone who apologized, thank you. This was not what I wanted. All I wanted was for my child's truth to be protected, to be heard, and to be believed. It was never merely a show. It has to do with honor. And done now that we know the truth. Completed. No reality TV punch or reunion screen match could ever match the impact of those 5 minutes. Were definitive, unvarnished, and authentic. The consequences persisted. According to reports, Mendeecees was left out of all future tapings. Yandi also took a break from filming to concentrate on getting better. Cast schedules were rearranged by the producers. Members of the crew were fired. After everything, Durkika received an offer for a spin-off program. A few spectators applauded. She deserved to leave, according to others. Regardless of her decision, it was evident that she had one. Struggle against a machine that believed it could alter her tale and get away with it was just as much of a struggle. It's the fight for her child's reality. A reckoning had emerged from what had started as a scandal. Reality TV would never be the same after this. One woman refused to let a lie define her, not because it was at last honest. And that was the true revolution, more than any audio leak or popular hashtag. You're not alone if you're still sitting there in shock. Everything we believe to be true has been completely turned upside down by this whole incident. After being hauled away and thrown out, Mena is now standing by her convictions and has the receipts to prove it. It serves as a reminder that not all of the story is depicted on film. Additionally, the revelations made by voices like Tasha have the power to completely upend a series. You still need to fit things together, or if you believe everything that is said. This isn't just chatter anymore, that much is obvious. It has to do with responsibility, deceit, and the price of remaining silent. We would like to hear from you now. Do you believe Mendeecees was aware of the DNA test's manipulation from the beginning? Does VH1 actually have damage control in place? Or are they ever going to take responsibility for what transpired behind the scenes? Did the truth simply take too long to surface? Or was Erica set up from the beginning? Leave a comment below with your opinions. Don't be shy. Please hit the like button so that other people may see the true story if it disturbed you as much as it did us. We're just getting started, so remember to subscribe. We'll be here to dispel the lies for you when they come to light. To ensure you never miss the next puzzle piece, ring that bell.